So let's say it's Monday morning and you open up Excel and you hit refresh on your weekly expense report and you see something that makes your stomach drop. Well, some of the rows in your department name column are showing error in red. Not all of them, but just the ones with missing or incorrect department codes. And you have no idea who entered them wrong or how many there are. So now you have to go hunting. You open up the source file, track down the bad rows, fix them manually, and refresh again. Every single Monday. It's a 30-minute tax on your week, and it's completely avoidable. So what if Power Query could handle those bad rows automatically, flag them for you, keep the good data intact, and never crash on a bad code again? Well, that's exactly what I'll be showing you today. It's a two-word M code trick. It takes about 60 seconds to add, and 99% of Power Query users have never heard of it. So here's the scenario. Let me show you the exact scenario we're dealing with. This is a monthly expense report, the kind that gets exported from an ERP system every Monday morning. We've got approximately 15 rows with invoices, numbers, invoice dates, vendors, amounts, department codes, and submitted by them and who submitted them. So now these rows, some rows are highlighted in red, not the rows, but the text anyways. And as you can see that on this particular row, we have no department code. On this particular row, we have a department code, but is not connected or typed in properly that links it to the raw department codes, which I'll show you in a second. The same thing, we have an empty department code, and this one right here, it's an invalid department code. So now this is a real life scenario. A CSV file from your finance system, someone might have typed a code wrong or someone forgot to fill in a field, and your automated report has this problem. Now let's see exactly what that looks like. Now over here, let's go over here to the raw department codes table, and you can see it's like a lookup table. We have our valid department codes here, and we link them to an actual department name. So let's go into Power Query, okay, and let's see what happens when we have invalid or missing department codes. Okay, so let's go up to data. We could go either way. I already have the query set up. Get data, and let's just open up the Launch Power Query editor. Now I have the M code already written. Our first query is going to produce an error, and let's scroll over here. As you can see over here on the right hand side, we actually created a new column called department name, and we wanted to link what was in our expense data file over with the department codes file. And as you can see, some of these have errors. Look at the error at the bottom. It says the key didn't match any rows in the table. So the same thing here. Let's go back here. So the same thing, the key didn't match any rows in the table. That's the type of error that you would get. Now, how would we rectify this? Well, let's first look at this code here in the advanced editor. Okay, let's zoom in. What I'm using is Control Shift Plus on my keyboard. that zooms in on here. So let's walk through this code. What this first row here gives us the content from our raw expense data. Now our raw expense data is actual an Excel table that's called this. So that's what's going here, and we're going to put this in the variable expense headers. Now our department lookup table, the same thing. We have my Excel table that's called raw department codes, and all I'm doing is getting the content of that table itself. Now let's look at this code over here. Now what we're doing is we want to add a column, the department name column, and we're pulling in the expense headers table, which has the codes in there, or invalid codes, some of them anyways. And we're creating a new column called department name. Now for each row in the expense headers table, we're looking at the department code column. And what we're doing, we're looking in the department headers table, which is the lookup table. We look in the department code column, we match that with what's in the expense headers table, and then we pull out the department name from the department code table. Now what this does is, if it finds a valid value and a valid department code, okay, it'll bring back the name over here, which is what you see over here. However, if the department code value is missing in our raw expense table, or it doesn't match up with a valid code in the department lookup table, then it's going to bring an error over here. And that's what that does. So that's all we're doing over here. So we're doing that. So let's click on done. So that's why we get an error. So now let's see how we could fix this with a couple of words in M code. So what we're doing here is, as you can see, department code is null, meaning it's blank in the expense data table, or in this case, this is invalid in the department lookup table. And what we're doing, instead of getting errors over in the column name that we just added, we're adding a status value called review needed. Okay, and we added an extra column called needs review. So if it was valid, we don't need to review this. If it's invalid, we flag it as yes. So let's look at the code over here. Advanced Editor, and let's Control-Shift+ to zoom in so you can see the code a little bit better. Again, we're doing the same thing. We're looking for the raw expense data Excel table, and we're bringing back the entire contents of that table. The same thing with the raw department codes table. And all we're doing, the difference between the two is we're using a try otherwise type code. So it's like error handling. So in other words, if we find a valid code, okay, it's going to give us the valid name over here in the department name column. If it doesn't find a valid code, whether it's missing or it's typed in wrong, we give it the value of review needed. So that's what this column does here. And then over here, the add flag column, which is needs review, we're just adding a column. So in other words, add the department name. So whatever value that we get back from this code right up here, it's going to be put over here, okay? And needs review, okay? And then if it needs review, which is the new column name, needs review, Okay, for each department name in the department name column over here, if it's equal to review needed, then we're going to put a yes in this column. Otherwise, it's going to be no. Okay, so let's click done here. So now I want to make sure you understand why this is so powerful beyond just lookups. Anytime you have a Power Query expression that might fail, like a division that might hit 0, a text operation on a column that sometimes has nulls, or a date parse on messy input, you could wrap it with a try otherwise code and give it a safe default. Okay, so if this saved you a Monday morning headache, hit the like button because it generally helps this channel. And if you want more Power Query tricks like this one, subscribe to my channel because I post this every single week. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye now.